This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Curaleaf, one of the leading vertically integrated cannabis operators in the U.S., with a total of 34 dispensaries, 12 cultivation sites, and 10 processing facilities. Curaleaf is also one of the fastest growing multi-state operators, as they had just 3 dispensaries open at the beginning of the year. But Curaleaf is more than just a bunch of dispensaries, cultivation sites, and processors, as it's also developed one of the top consumer brands in the business with their popular Curaleaf line of medical marijuana products. They also put a lot of time and energy into their Curaleaf hemp line, as well as their premium flower brand Yuku Craft Cannabis. You can learn more about Curaleaf and the products they make and find the closest Curaleaf dispensary to you over at Curaleaf.com, with Curaleaf spelled C-U-R-A-L-E-A-F. That's Curaleaf.com. Big thanks to everyone at Curaleaf for helping make today's news possible. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, December 19th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 631 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Mike Adams over at Forbes has today's top spot with a pickup of a new study released yesterday suggesting that CBD could cause a person's interocular pressure to go up. That's the amount of pressure that your eyeballs are under, with the condition glaucoma being caused by too high of a pressure. THC has been long known to lower your interocular pressure, thereby lowering your chance of developing glaucoma. The study picked up in Mike's piece was conducted at Indiana University, and I think is a great reminder of all the things that we don't yet know about cannabis. As potentially beneficial of a drug that CBD and THC and all the other parts of marijuana are, we still need to be careful about stepping out too far ahead of what we actually know about marijuana and its medicinal effects. I think that's even more important when you add in concentrates. We had a great guest on our weekly show, Marijuana Today, dive into that very issue just a couple of episodes ago. I direct you to episode 229 over at MJ Today podcast for more on that. Also, read Mike's story over at Forbes. This is something we all need to have a handle on. Pennsylvania just issued 23 new medical marijuana dispensary licenses as part of a new phase in its medical cannabis program rollout. The 23 new license holders now have 6 months to open up their shops. Once those new facilities are up and running, Pennsylvania will have a total of 79 open dispensaries. You can swing over to New Cannabis Ventures to see a list of the 23 winners, as well as to find a link to the Pennsylvania Department of Health's website, where there's a list of every current license holder. Even though Pennsylvania's medical marijuana program is still relatively new, having just been passed into law in 2016, it does already have just under 100,000 registered patients and 1,000 doctors approved to make recommendations. Our final top story of the day brings us up to Canada, where Bloomberg is reporting that the investment banking division of Canadian financial giant Royal Bank of Canada has announced that it is getting into legal cannabis. RBC Capital Markets says it will start investment research coverage of the industry this month and will place investments within legal cannabis, quote, under the right circumstances with certain customers, unquote. This is obviously a bigger deal up in Canada right now than here in the US, but it's likely that American financial institutions will take a look at how their Canadian counterparts are handling industry interactions as our own federal restrictions are lifted. So this is a good storyline to keep track of. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the leading vertically integrated cannabis operators in the U.S., with a total of 34 dispensaries, 12 cultivation sites, and 10 processing facilities. Curaleaf operates in states requiring vertical integration and has had to, as a result, become experts in the entire legal cannabis supply chain, from cultivation to dispensing. Their Curaleaf line of medical marijuana products offers a number of consumption modalities, giving their patient customers more flexibility in how they find relief. And Curaleaf knows that with their large corporate footprint comes the responsibility to be good corporate citizens in the realms of customer education, as well as in pushing the scientific boundaries of what we know about marijuana's medicinal effects. That's why they pour so much energy into customer education and into their R&D and research projects. You can learn more about Curaleaf over at their website at curaleaf.com, with Curaleaf spelled Curaleaf, curaleaf.com. Thanks again to everyone at Curaleaf for making today's show possible. All right, time for the Blitz. Yesterday, the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Commission announced that it was delaying the announcement of the state's first medical marijuana dispensary license holders, which was expected to come this week, but that will instead be pushed back to January 9th. The commission said that the delay is necessary for newly appointed commission members to get caught up on everything. The Baltimore Sun is reporting that Maryland-based medical marijuana company ForwardGro was just ordered to pay a fine of $125,000 and serve a 2-year probationary term for using banned pesticides to grow medical cannabis. The announcement follows a 5-month investigation during which the company was effectively shut down as its products were barred from being sold in state dispensaries. That ban is now lifted, and the company will have to comply with a number of requirements, including that it destroys all cannabis stock that was produced before May. This is a deep story, so I'd swing over to the Sun for the full read if it catches your fancy. Colorado Senator Cory Gardner's ambitious proposed legislative amendment to free up states to experiment with legal cannabis laws, which I've covered a number of times here on the show over the last week or so, was shot down yesterday in the U.S. Senate by Senate Judiciary Chair Senator Charles Grassley of Iowa. Gardner took to the floor of the Senate following the killing of his bill and spoke about the need to legalize cannabis. Jeff Smith over Marijuana Business Daily has a good piece up looking at the evolving legal cannabis market in the state of Florida, which is seeing some growth in development and interest in the wake of an August court decision lifting the cap on the number of marijuana business licenses issued by the state. One of the more exciting stats out of the Sunshine State is the huge boost in the number of registered medical marijuana patients, which has roughly tripled in size this year to just under 160,000. Pop over to Jeff's piece for the full read on this one. The Financial Post takes a look at the number of U.S.-based legal marijuana companies trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange, which saw just one cannabis company raise $145,000 in 2017, but that has had $1.5 billion of industry investment flow through its systems this year. That's a pretty remarkable jump. This is definitely a storyline you need to have a good grip on, so I direct you over to the Financial Post's story for the full mental absorption. Marijuana Moments Kyle Yeager picked up on the introduction on Monday of 2 proposed bills in 2 different states that would afford young medical marijuana patients some protections for using their medicine on school grounds. Pop over to Kyle's story for all the details there. And finally for today, Canada's Privacy Commissioner Daniel Therian is warning cannabis consumers that they should use cash to buy marijuana instead of electric forms of payment, as those digital transactions can be tracked and accessed by other countries that may use the information to bar the cannabis consumer from visiting. The commissioner is most likely referring to the United States here, as we've already heard stories of Canadians being turned away at the border due to their involvement in the legal cannabis industry. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Just a quick reminder, we're taking all of next week off, as well as a few days into the next for our annual holiday break. Our last show of the year will be on Friday, and we'll be back up and running on Wednesday, January 2nd. Thanks to our sponsor, Curaleaf, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the lesser ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.